was able to spend that time with him in person. Then the next day, Jill and I spent the afternoon at Bob's house in Menominee Falls with Judy. We had lunch together, and of course we stayed in touch after that. The last time I texted with him was between Christmas and New Year's, and he did text back, but I knew that he was in failing health.
Well, Bob, we really do appreciate you taking some time with us on a tough day for everybody here in the baseball world, and I'll leave you with a Dennis Menke. How about that?
Not bad, Dennis Menke. Not bad.
Thank you very much.
Not quite Wes Covington, but still good.
There we go. Now I gotta get back into my 60s and 70s baseball reference, dust it off here, and see if I can do it. Because you'd be surprised, there are a lot of still to this day millennials and Gen Z that will do this, but with Doug Menkevich's and with Sean Figgins's in today's world. Yeah, but that's not the same as Denny LeMaster. And we can say Bob.
Now we're talking about generations before you.
Yes, we are. Bob, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
All right, Tom. Be well.
Be well. Thank you. All right, Bob Costas here on WTMJ. Very, very grateful for his friendship and his mentorship over the last few years. And to be willing to come on a day that he has to say goodbye to one of his best friends. So we'll take a breather. If you want to interact with the show here tonight, the Siding Unlimited WTMJ Talk and Text line, 855-616-1620. Again, 855-616-1620. This one from the 815 area code. I grew up in Eau Claire and would listen to Bob on AM radio every game we could. Such cherished memories as a boy who loved baseball and never could call a game like Uke. Even going to the games, I would have my little transistor radio with an earpiece so I could listen to the best ever. Mr. Baseball always made me feel like I was at the game no matter where I was. Thanks for a lifetime of memories, Bob. You'll be sorely missed. Rest in peace in the front row. Thank you, Charles, for that text. We'll take our first break of the show. Come back with more after this on 620 WTMJ.
Back with more Brewers Weekly after this.
When your pipes burst, water heater's leaking, drains backing up, or whatever your plumbing problem is, the reliable plumbers at Quality are on hand 24/7 to fix your plumbing problem with fully stocked vehicles and lightning-fast response times. This is Anthony Zanevsky. Call Quality first and get the signature service you deserve to fix your plumbing problem ASAP.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality. Heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. I don't have to tell you that a lot of dust and other junk collects in your ductwork. And it doesn't just sit there. It's blowing around in your home. And that jeopardizes your home health. The commercial industrial duct cleaning system we use at Quality darn near sucked the shirt right off our tech the first time he used it. Believe me, not everybody has this powerful of a system. It's unlike any other. At Quality, you get the best duct cleaning, period. So call Quality first for your duct cleaning needs.
For the signature service you deserve.
I found a fountain of youth down there at QC Kinetics.
That's Henry Hinton, feeling like his young, active self again after treatments at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine.
I still have trouble walking down steps as I get older. I've had one treatment so far, and I can already tell a difference in my knee.
And that treatment at QC Kinetics used Henry's own natural healing properties, concentrated and placed right at the source of the pain. So Henry and patients just like him will enjoy long-term relief without surgery or downtime.
My knee is not hurting. I remember I was walking down some steps yesterday, and I thought, wow, this is not hurting when I walk down steps. I'm all in on it. I'm all in on QC Kinetics.
It's time to wind back the clock to days without constant joint pain. Start with a call to QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
0-1 pitch. Swings, and there it is! A base hit into right center. He's done it. 3,000 for Robin.
The calls won't get old. We've been hearing them all day long. 3,000th hit for Robin Yount, as you just heard there. Called by his good friend in Bob Uecker. As we say goodbye to Bob at 90 years young today, just 10 days shy of his 91st birthday. Again, the Saturday Unlimited WTMJ talk and text line is 855-616-1620. Again, 855-616-1620. You can text, you can call if you're up late with us still reminiscing about Bob Uecker. I'm Dom Cotroneo. We will also have Lane Grindle join the show here in about 20 minutes' time. I know it's been a hard day for him, too. We'll also have a recorded an interview earlier today with Tom Hamilton, this year's Ford C. Frick Award winner, the highest honor a broadcaster can earn in baseball. He is headed to the Hall of Fame, another Wisconsinite, along with Tony Kubek, along with Bob Uecker, into the broadcasters wing of the Hall of Fame. And Hammy had some great tales of that, current voice of the Cleveland Guardians. And then we'll hear from you as well. And I have audio from Ryan Braun, from Mark Atanasio, from Christian Yelich and Brandon Woodruff, just going down memory lane, talking about Bob Uecker. For now, I do want to get to the phone lines here. Paul in Waukesha. Paul, you're live here on Brewers Weekly.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I'll just add to the many things. Obviously, Ueck was just Milwaukee, Mr. Baseball. But, the last thing I remember hearing from Ueck was in that October broadcast in the last inning when there was that hit that ended that game and ended the Brewers season. And Bob Uecker said that had a lot of sting on it, or had some sting on it, words to that effect. And I didn't think much of it. I just thought it was the end of the season, end of the Brewers season. But after listening to Bob Costas, I realized it was more than that. I think it had a lot of sting on it because Ueck knew that was it, that this was his last season. And I think that really made a lot of difference now that I listened to Bob, is that had a lot of sting on it for Ueck because this was it for him, his last broadcast. And God bless the man. Milwaukee is so lucky to call him ours.
I agree. Thank you so much for sharing that, Paul. And when it comes to those who knew about the diagnosis, and it was a very select few, and out of respect for the family and for his privacy, when you get to a certain point in your life and your career, and we can only imagine what it was like for Bob in the peak of his powers, but privacy is the finest commodity at a certain point, and to be able to talk about your own health struggles is something everybody has the right to. And one of the stories that Mark Atanasio actually told today was the fact that as much of a rally and trooper that Bob was, and how much he was privately fighting and how much he was hurting and how he just did not want that to be public. And one of the things that Mark told us today in the media that now is out in the public sphere is that there were days in the last couple of years that Bob would have radiation treatment in the morning and then call the game that night. And when you think about that, if you know people who have had their own battles with cancer, that they lean on people, they look for help, they look for assistance. And I think that choosing to internalize that is powerful and just so, I don't want to say it's telling, but it's something that if you felt like you could help somebody, you would, especially somebody like Bob Uecker. But he didn't want people to worry about him. He didn't want to have people use their energy on him. He was more than content with his life. And we can only pray and hope to be at that point in our lives when we reach that age. And the life that Bob Uecker lived as we say goodbye to him today was simply incredible. And there are not enough books in the world, there are not enough interviews in the world that can fully capture what Bob Uecker did for baseball, for pop culture, for comedy. The list goes on. But the one thing that I think we will all remember today is that he was ours. He was Milwaukee's proudest son. And while baseball has a deep loss today, and while show business has a deep loss today, no one has a bigger loss than the city of Milwaukee. And that's what I'm going to remember most today. And you've heard this command all day long, but a reminder once again, if you somehow have made it all day today and you have not spared 18 minutes to watch Bob Uecker's Hall of Fame speech, you have permission to pause this show. We'll be right here for you. Go watch that for 18 minutes and then come right back, because it is some of the sharpest, best 18 minutes of comedy you will ever hear. And it was off the cuff. The best to ever do it. Bob Uecker, gone at 90 years young. We will miss him dearly. We'll be back with more with our special edition of Brewers Weekly after this on your home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
More Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ. Don't count us out. Not
Lillard
yet.
scoops to the hoop, lays it in. The Bucks have taken a 1-point Lopez in transition, squeezes up a three, and he drilled it. The Bucks throwing fire.
This season is far from over.
To work with, drives inside and stuffs it down with the right hand. 59 points now for Giannis. He's tapping his chest as he goes the other way, saying, "This is my house.
We are the home of the Bucks.
This is my house."
WTMJ.
In 1964, we were making strides towards space travel,
Mary Poppins was the #1 movie in theaters,
and the Beatles were taking America by storm.
which was long before I was born.
Facts. 1964 is also the year it all started for Richland's Tire and Service Centers. 60 years of continuous growth and more happy customers than you can shake a stick at.
Okay, the streamers are a bit overkill. It's just us in the studio.
All right. But it's important to know accomplishments like these aren't possible without a dedicated team. So hats off to them and our founder, my dad, Dick Mitschke, for understanding the importance of customer focus.
Facts. There's no 60 years of anything without you, the customer, which is why our focus will remain on you and only you for years to come.
Thank you from all of us here at Richland's Tire and Service Centers.
Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
Get organized with a new Dakota Closet system at Menards. Dakota Closets are versatile and can be installed in any room, from home offices and laundry rooms to walk-in or reach-in closets, and so much more. Use the You Create Closet Planner, available in-store or online, to design a Dakota Closet system that maximizes your space and matches your style. And don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Staying active, essential for overall health. Proper medical support, essential for staying active. WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Whether it's keeping a weekend warrior like me on the tennis court or keeping young athletes in the game, you want the best in sports medicine, that's OAW. Surgeons, nurses, and physical therapists help you recover from injury, avoid injury in the future, and enhance performance. Get care 7 days a week. Walk right in at an Ortho ASAP clinic or book an appointment online at orthowisconsin.com.
It's Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
There he goes. The pitch. A swing and a fly ball. Right field and deep. Get up and get out of here. Gone for Swaim. And they've done it again. 12 in a row on a 2-run blast by Swaim to win it. Oh, my goodness. Holy cow. Do you believe it?
The high pitch at the very end, the bring it home from Bob Uecker. Team streak, 1987, Dale Swaim's home run. I got the chance to talk about that with Dale Swaim a few years ago, and he feels the same way that all of you feel about that. Like, Bob Uecker got to call that? Oh, my goodness. Thinking of Dale, thinking of everybody that wore a Brewer uniform that can say that Bob Uecker said their name. It's a pretty incredible list of players, and earlier today, Mark Ananasi was talking about the math that he realized it's well over 11,000 games in the career of Bob Uecker, and that's just the Brewer games. That's not the national games. That's not World Series. That's not playoffs. Simply remarkable. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. The Siding Unlimited WTMJ talk and text line is 855-616-1620. Again, 855-616-1620. This one from the 847. That's insane that he would get radiation and then call a game later that day. What a dedicated guy. Really puts into perspective how influential Uke was getting Bob Costas on the show. Again, our thanks to Bob. This one from the 815. Again, shed some tears today. I feel like a lot of us knew it would be his last call when it happened. This has some sting on it. Let's go win it all for Uke. Go Crew. I said this earlier today on ESPN Milwaukee. We were on from 12 to 2 and just kind of putting together the feelings and listening to Wilde and Tausch earlier today, and they had callers on the program that were breaking down in tears on the air. And I can say I've cried on the air twice today, so we're hanging in there tough right now. To say that I was a tiny, tiny part of Bob Uecker's incredible Hall of Fame career is something I will take with me forever. But one guy that I want to play some audio from now is Ryan Braun. We had a chance to catch up with Brawny a little while ago, and he understood, obviously, the weight of breaking the playoff drought was in 2008, and everyone was sick of hearing about 82 by that point, and obviously Braun had a large piece to do with it all, and the celebrations are always some of the highlights that we remember of seeing Uke in the clubhouse with the guys, and Brawny made it clear, like, that was very intentional to make sure that Uke knew how they felt about him.
You know, we wanted him to understand how much we appreciated him and how impactful he was in our success individually and as a team. And so we didn't do that just because we liked him as a person or because of, you know, who he was in his legendary career. We did that because he genuinely impacted each of our lives, careers, baseball careers, team success. And so there are only so few moments that you get the opportunity to try to express and articulate to people the impact they have. But I think that for each team who took the time to celebrate with him, that's what we were trying to tell him in those moments. Is like, you're one of us. You've contributed to our success. We wouldn't have had this amount of success without you being a part of it. You know, that was something that I know that we all always looked forward to, and it meant a lot to us.
Yeah, and for Braun to be on that team that broke the playoff drought and then to pass the torch to Yelly, and we think of 2018 and the great run that they had, and the stories of the full playoff share have obviously been well shared, but to echo what Braun said, Yelly also reiterated the fact that Uke was as much a part of the team as any sixth-inning swingman reliever was, and certainly felt his impact on a day-to-day basis.
It was pretty special just to be able to, you know, share that with him and, you know, let him know how much he meant to all of us, which he already knew, but it's still good to, you know, remind him, like you said, with the Jordan 11s a few years ago. I think he wore those almost every day. I saw him for years. You know, he refused to wear a different pair of shoes or anything like that because it came from the team. And I remember the day that we presented it to him, how much it meant to him and how excited he was. It had like the Air Uecker logo on the side. He was pretty fired up. And, you know, to see where those shoes were that day to the last day that I saw him wear, they had some miles on them for sure. And, he got some good use out of them. So it's just like little things like that, I think, that you're going to remember, you know, more than anything. And that's kind of this kind of guy Bob was. We were so fortunate to just like see him in that setting, you know, in the clubhouse where, you know, everybody's guards down. Nobody has to worry about anything. You can kind of just, you know, be yourself and sit at a table and talk or whatever. And I think those moments are so special because only a few people really got to experience that and see that and have those kind of interactions with Bob. And, you know, it's something that I'll always remember.
Yeah, it's obviously an extremely short list of people who had a connection like the players had with Bob Uecker, but they all feel the same way today. And even seeing the tributes on social media today, right? I saw one from Dan Plesac. I saw one from John Axford. I saw one from Jonathan Lucron. We had Jonathan on earlier today here on WTMJ, and it's just, it spans generations. And again, this guy was teammates with Warren Spahn, one of the greatest pitchers to ever live. Arguably the greatest Milwaukee Brave to ever live, him and Henry Aaron, right? And then later was calling home runs and grand slams from this kid, Jackson Chourio, who finished third in Rookie of the Year voting. And I think of another rookie. I think of Paul Skeens. Paul asked and requested that if there was a day that Bob Uecker was going to be working while the Pirates were in town, he wanted to find a way to meet him. He understood the challenges that might have brought, but Paul requested it. Uecker agreed to it, and I can only think of Paul for next season. I would love to catch up with him, and I know Paul has done an extraordinary amount of work for veterans and the Wounded Warrior Project and Folds of Honor and similar charities that were near and dear to Uke's heart, which brings me to this next point, is the fact that I think one of the most underrated things and underreported parts of Uke's life was he's a veteran. He was in the Army. And yes, it's not a major chapter of his life or not one that we all spend hours talking about, but what Uke did from a charity perspective and from a help of veterans and attending veterans hospitals, it was at the drop of a hat, no questions asked, and a lot of these weren't publicized on purpose because he wanted it to be genuine, and everything about Bob Uecker was genuine. And we can only hope to be as genuine and as authentic as Bob was. He lived a full 90-plus year life that we can only hope to have a quarter of it, and we'd be satisfied with that life. As we say goodbye to Uecker today, I know it's been a really difficult time for Lane Grindle, who will be our next guest in just a moment. He's going to join the program too, but also, it was tough today talking with Brewers owner Mark Atanasio about Uke's battle and knowing the battle and knowing what he was going through. But I thought Mark put it very well in describing why it hit so well for Bob Uecker here in Milwaukee.
I just had this stream of consciousness last night. I just wrote down like 30 things. And one of them I wrote is that he was one of us. And I feel like now we're Wisconsinites, and at least certainly adopted Wisconsinites. And I think he was like every man. You know, he would go down and joke with the canine officers. He befriended a lot of folks who worked in the ballpark, and he looked out for them.
I think of one person that really I'm thinking about today is Lorraine in the cafeteria. And I know most people listening have no idea who I'm talking about, but people who do know, they know. And they together have gone through a lot of health issues and have kind of taken solace in one another. And I'm thinking of Lorraine today. I'm thinking of James in the cafeteria who help us out in the press box. And thinking of Judy, thinking of Bob Jr., who's got a lot on his plate right now. And what a day. Just loved hearing all the tributes and all the love and everything that was brought about for Bob Uecker. So we'll take a quick breather. On the other side of the break, we'll have Lane Grindle join the program too. And we're going late tonight. We're going till 10 o'clock, so we got plenty of time here on the program. A little bit later, we'll hear from Tom Hamilton as well, this year's Ford C. Frick Award winner. Back with more after this here on 620 WTMJ.
Catch more Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ. The legendary voice of the Brewers, Bob Uecker, has passed away. We remember the life, the legacy, and of course the calls.
Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Go!
Rest in peace to one of the greatest to ever do it. We'll miss you, Bob.
Craft your Brewers mini plan for the 2025 season, featuring all new 6-packs and 12-packs. Get in on the action with great ticket rates, marquee matchups, and priority seating. Plus, you'll get a limited edition Brewers Crowler with each 12-pack or pair of 6-packs. Looking to customize your games to fit your schedule? Build your own ticket plan options are also available. Pick the plan for you at brewers.com/ticket finder.
Whether it's 24/7 emergency service or it's just time to replace your furnace, at Quality we'll be out so fast you won't even notice the heat being off. And if you're buying a high-efficiency furnace from Armstrong or Carrier, you'll qualify for state and federal tax rebates that'll pay for a big chunk of the cost. This is Anthony Zanevsky from Quality, where you'll get the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. If you like being prepared like I do, you know the value of a generator. When the power goes out, it's a terrible inconvenience. And that's why Quality installs effortless whole home generators that give you power when everybody else's is out. This is Anthony Zanevsky from Quality, where you'll get the signature service you deserve and whole home generators that make power outage fears subside.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric.
When I shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, every time I come in, it's like a whole new store. It's because new inventory is arriving daily, all kinds of everything. And let me tell you, thrift store prices make buying easy. And helping others at the same time, that's icing on the cake. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
This is Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
And delivers. Morgan, a smash up the middle. Base hit to center. Here comes Gomez. Around third. A throw, and the Brewers win.
Plenty of replays of that all day long. And then he let the crowd just carry the call after Gogo scored. T. Plush, what a memory for the Brewers in 2011. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. A heavy day here in southeast Wisconsin and for the baseball world as we say goodbye to Bob Uecker. And I'm honored to have one of his partners here on the air with us here on WTMJ, Lane Grindle, joining the show. Lane, I really do appreciate you taking some time on what I know has been an immensely difficult day for you and the team. And just how are you feeling right now here at the end of the day?
Yeah, well, thank you, Dom, for having me. And as you know, I've kind of gone through the full gamut of emotions over the course of the day today. I think like so many that were close to Bob, but also so many that were fans from afar of Bob. I think that's the beautiful thing about him, that even if you never met Bob, you felt like you knew Bob because he was just such a big part of this state, such a big part of everybody's summers. I have close friends in this town that never had the pleasure of meeting Bob, but when they talk about Bob, they sound like when I talk about Bob. And I think that's just a testament to the man. I loved him, we all did. And it's been a tough day. And it's frankly, at times hard to articulate what he meant to me, what he meant to my family, and knowing what he meant to everybody else that were fans, that were coworkers, that were players. What a legacy. And I'm amazed. I'm in awe of it. But no matter how much we knew this day was going to eventually come, still not any easier. And It's been just a tough day in that regard, as I'm sure you felt as well, Dom, and so many others.
It's been a day that, as you said it perfectly over text, and Jeff has said this too, where it's like we all thought he was immortal. We all thought he was Superman, and we would never actually have to do the day like today to actually have to say goodbye. I do want to go back to the beginning for you with Uke. And I don't think it's really that well publicized of kind of the, I don't want to say initiation is the right word, but maybe it is, of that first meal with Bob as like the final stamp of approval when you get the job. If you can take us back to what that day was. Where was yours? Was yours at Don and Charlie's, or how did it all work for you?
So mine was unique. I think I was the first one that was not at Don and Charlie's because I was the first guy to get hired not from a minor league team. And I was coming from a college program, and they called me, and Jeff had been hired the year before, so I had read the stories of when Jeff was hired, and I knew if you got the Uecker dinner, you were in pretty good shape for this job. And so when they called me and said, hey, we're getting close here to making a decision. We need to go to Phoenix and have dinner with Bob. I was like, okay, we're in good shape here. And they wanted me to go down over the weekend, but I had already committed. I mean, I left in like 24 hours to go to Charleston, South Carolina to kick off the college baseball season. And so I just asked him, like, is there any way I can do, I think it was Tuesday morning or sometime Tuesday or Monday night. And they were great. They worked with me. And so we ended up having breakfast on that Tuesday morning at the Hash Kitchen in Scottsdale. And I remember getting there super early and sitting by myself at the table. And then I saw him get out of his car. And I'll always remember watching him walk into the restaurant. And, it was that short sleeve button-up shirt, little chest hair, chain. I think he had one of his veterans hats on, maybe a Wounded Warrior hat on. And he comes walking in, and I am just like, that is Bob Uecker. And I'm about to meet him, and I better not screw this up. And you're so nervous. And then he sits down, and anybody that spent 5 seconds around Bob will understand this part of it. He sits down and just disarms you immediately and starts telling stories and just makes you feel comfortable. And I think we sat there that morning. I think it was close to 3 hours before we got up and left. And like he had done with Jeff the year before, he said, can't wait to work with you. This is going to be a lot of fun. And life has been this whirlwind ever since. 9 years with him. The first handful, not really working with him. I did work with him my first year for 4 games. A lot of people don't know that. It was a month in, and Jeff was the officiant for his sister's wedding in California. So he left for a series, and Bob and I called the Padres series in Milwaukee together a month after I had gotten the job, basically, or a month after the season had started. And so that was kind of wild for me. But then I didn't work with him again until maybe 2019. We started doing some games together, and then on a much bigger schedule, of course, in 20 and 21 and the rest of the way. But, I had this really, I think, advantageous way to come into my friendship and working relationship with Bob because of the fact that I didn't work with him most nights during home games. I would get the 3rd and 4th inning and the 7th inning when Jeff would be working, and he would just come back with me and talk. And for 3 years, that's what we did, and we had so much fun, and so many stupid things happened that we would laugh about, and practical jokes, and just inside jokes that we had. And this friendship just blossomed out of it to almost to the point where when we first started working together, it was like, how do we be professional and call games next to each other now? Like that was a little bit of an adjustment, like the first couple of weeks that we worked together on a more regular basis. But that's just who he was. He brought you into his world. He was doggedly loyal to his guys. And I'm just forever grateful for the time I got with him, for the things he taught me, for the things he did for me, for the relationship that he had, not just with me, but with my wife and my kids and what he meant to them. And it's been a hard day in this house. And my kids, not one of my kids was able to make it all the way through the school day today. At different times they had to come home because of what he meant to them. And didn't have to be that way. He was already a Hall of Famer. He was in his 80s by the time I got here. He could have just said, this kid just needs to figure out a way to work around me, and I'm going to do my thing. But that's not how it was. You were his teammate. He gave you full ownership in what was going on, even if you didn't deserve it. And there's just never going to be another one. There never has been a Bob Uecker before him, and there will never be anything close to him again.
It's well said, my friend. And what a beautiful relationship. And peeling back the curtain, I think of you and your kids. I think of the photos that you guys have shared, that Jeff has shared, of showing all the photos, because those are the ones that are going to really mean something to them in 20 years or so. I think that you guys did it right. Take as many photos as you can. You only regret the photos you don't take. And I think that in 20 years' time, your kids and Jeff's kids are going to look back like, oh, man, that's a cool photo with a one-of-one guy. And you'll be able to tell them, as good of a broadcaster he was an even better man. And I think that's how all of us in the booth knew how he was. And we can hear all the legendary stories and the funny bits and the cough button and all that. But the people who knew. And I think you put it perfectly there, my friend. Thank you.
You bet. I just, the one, there's no silver lining to this, but the one thing that has been helpful in the last really 48 hours. I mean, I first heard Tuesday that things weren't going well, and very grateful for the chance to go see him yesterday. But there's been a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking about your time with Bob, and man, you just realize how much he made you smile and laugh, and the crazy stuff that happened. And I'm not going to get into a million stories tonight, but I sat my kids down today, just kind of went through some funny stories and pranks that we played. And, there was a series. It was always really fun when Bob traveled and when it was the three of us and Kent on the road together. I mean, some fun stuff happened when all of us were gone on the road together, whether it was like San Diego to open up the 18 season or to finish up the 18 season when they were clinching postseason and things of that nature. But in 19, we were in Arizona, and we would always eat in the cafeteria, or the lunchroom, if you will. And for whatever reason, one night, Bob was like, I want to go down to the concession stand. And Jeff was off getting an interview. Kent was doing something. So it's just him and myself in the booth. And I told him, that's a horrible idea. Like, we can't go down on the concourse. You're going to get swarmed. Like, a million pictures are going to be asked to take. You're going to be signing autographs the whole time. Like, we're not even going to be able to get to the concession stand, Uke. And he's like, nah, we'll be fine. He's like, come on, Grinny, let's go. And I'm like, well, I'll text Jeff and Kent to meet us down there, So I text them, and Bob and I get on the elevator. We go down the elevator, and right away the elevator door opens to the concourse, and there's a guy, and he sees Bob, points at him, stares at him for 5-10 seconds, and yells, Robin Yount. And Bob says, exactly. And we walked right by that guy. And, I mean, the whole way to the concession stand, people are yelling, just a bit outside. And I must be in the front row. And he's taking it in stride. And then we went and got in the concession stand line. And I think by that time, Jeff and Kent had joined us. And so the four of us are standing there. And everybody's just staring. And they're pointing, and they're saying, that's Mr. Baseball right there. That's Bob Uecker right there. And eventually a lady's staring at us, and she has her daughter with her. And she says to him, I know you. I recognize you from somewhere. And he goes, can't think of where it would be. And she said, were you on TV? And he goes, no, I don't think so. Just trying to kind of be playful with her. And finally I leaned forward and I said, you might recognize me. And she's like, no. And I'm like, no, I was on Melrose Place for 2 years. And she's like, oh, that might be it, And then Bob's like, no, I'm from the guy from Major League and Mr. Belvedere. And if I remember right, I think he even took a picture with her. But it was just fun, just the silly stuff where you never took things very serious. You always took the game serious. But regardless of the score, you knew you were going to enjoy yourself because he would find a way to make it entertaining. And, just we have so few left in this game that can be as authentic and as original as he was able to be. Nobody ever was as original and authentic as he was on air. But it's kind of a lost art in our profession. I think you'd probably agree to some degree, Dom, that the guys from our generation probably aren't allowed, or maybe we just don't want to risk and take the chances those guys would take of just being themselves and being authentic on the air. And I think you're going to have, in my opinion, one of the great ones left in Tom Hamilton on later. And what a wonderful human being Tom Hamilton is. And I think one of those guys that does it his own unique way, and I just admire him for it. But that's one of the things that I've always been a little jealous that Bob was just so good at being Bob, because as simple as that sounds, it's not simple to do on air. And Bob was just always himself, and you were going to get Bob Uecker that night regardless. And that's a lost art in our profession, and he did it as well as anybody ever has.
It's an honor to have called him a teammate. I know you have said many, many great things about Bob over the years, and even more with us here tonight. I really do appreciate it, Lane, and thanks for the time, and I know we'll be in touch. And shoot, before we know it, we're going to be on a big old jet plane headed down to spring training, and I can't wait to see you down there, my friend.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be another range of emotions when we get there. Of course, there's going to be a lot of firsts without Bob. That's going to be, I think, make this year a hard year, but I think it can still be a great year and a fun year, and he would want it to be. So that'll be our goal moving forward, and I'm looking forward to seeing you too, Dom. Thank you, pal.
Thanks, Lane. All right, we'll be back with more after the news here on WTMJ, and a whole another hour of content after the news as we say goodbye to Bob Uecker.
We are Outdoor Living Unlimited. We put cool stuff in your yard. Patios, decks, pergolas, outdoor kitchens, screen rooms, even in-ground pools. You dream it, we design it together, then Outdoor Living Unlimited installs it for you. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
You just can't pass on Less's Glass. Find us at lessglassservice.com.
For WTMJ contest rules, visit WTMJ.com/contests. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. The legendary voice of the Brewers, Bob Uecker, has passed away. We remember the life, the legacy, and of course the calls.
Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Go!
Rest in peace to one of the greatest to ever do it. We'll miss you, Bob. We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
At 9:01, it's 31 degrees. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, a low of 25. On Friday, mostly sunny, windy, and mild, a high of 43. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Jessica Gatso. Saying goodbye to Mr. Baseball. Bob Uecker passed away at his home this morning at the age of 90.
Having been born and raised here, played here with the Braves, and then to be a part of the Brewers broadcast team for all of these years, and to be associated with all of you who come to the park each and every night and have been doing it since the team arrived. Thank you very much, and thank you for tuning in to our broadcast each and every day.
Uecker's family confirmed he had been battling small cell lung cancer since early 2023. As for the Brewers organization, mourning will eventually make way for happier memories. Brewers principal owner Mark Cotroneo speaking to the media today, calling it a privilege to work with Bob and call him a friend.
Johnny Cash had a song, I've Been Everywhere. It was I've been everywhere, man. And blessed life I've had, I've been everywhere. I feel like I met almost everybody, and there's nobody like Bob. Nobody.
The Brewers have not yet released information about a celebration of life for Uecker. A child has died from the flu. The Department of Health Services confirms the first pediatric death in Wisconsin associated with influenza. DHS recommends everyone over the age of 6 months to get vaccinated against the flu and COVID-19. Across the country, 16 kids have died from the flu so far this season. $25 million earmarked by the city of Milwaukee for expansion of the Hop streetcar is now shifting to other projects.
The money raised by a tax incremental financing district is now slated to be spent on road construction and public spaces in the 3rd Ward. While the money was earmarked for a local contribution for streetcar expansion, City Engineer Kevin Muse tells the Zoning, Neighborhoods, and Development Committee,
we are at the risk of not having enough time to do the engineering necessary to actually get a contractor under contract.
In October, the streetcar system manager resigned after questions regarding missed federal deadlines connected to dollars that would have been used towards expansion. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Mayor Cavalier Johnson says the city is still committed to expanding the streetcar system. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:03.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
Hey, this is Steve Scafidi for Advent. I had some snoring issues that kept my wife up at night. That led to poor sleep and a lot of tired mornings on the radio, and nobody wants that, trust me. But it's simply, my nose wasn't working the way it should. I decided to go to Advent for a quick 30-minute visit, one of their great facilities, talk to a bunch of their doctors. They really put me at ease. After a really simple sleep study at home, in my own bed, they determined the root cause of my problem had to do with my sinuses and nasal passages in my breathing triangle. I didn't even know I had a breathing triangle, so I went to see Advent. After a short procedure done in office, I'm back to breathing well, and my wife and I are both back to sleeping through the whole night. The best sleep we've ever had, that could be you. If you struggle with restless nights like I did, take the time to see how Advent can help. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your life and your nights a whole lot better, go to AdventKnows.com, schedule an appointment today. Because Advent knows, when you breathe well, you live better.
Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports desk. The Bucks are 22-17, good for fourth in the East after their 122-93 win last night at Fiserv Forum. They'll go for 3 wins in a row when they face the Raptors for another home game Friday night. And the Wisconsin women's basketball is back in action tonight, hosting Ohio State. Currently in the third quarter, the Badgers are losing 52-43. Taking a look at the roads with your Johnson & Sons paving, time saver traffic. Mostly clear on the roads this evening, no major incidents and no delays. And the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, a low of 25. Friday, mostly sunny, windy, and mild, a high of 43. Saturday, mostly sunny, breezy, and colder, a high of 18. On Sunday, sunny, breezy, and that bitter cold sets in, a high of 4 degrees with a wind chill of 15 to 25 below zero. On Monday, sunny, breezy, and bitter cold again, a high of 0 degrees, a wind chill of 30 below to 15 below zero. Right now in Milwaukee, it's 31 degrees. I'm Jessica Gatso, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:07.
On the field, inside the clubhouse, and everything in between. This is Brewers Weekly. Here's Dominic Cotroneo.
All right, we continue to roll on here until 10 o'clock tonight, remembering Bob Uecker. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. Our producer is Matt Yazel. He's been a rock star tonight as well. Everybody here at WTMJ and ESPN Milwaukee, ever since the news came across, we've been trying to do this story justice. And I think as we near the end of the day and January 16th, 10 days shy of his 91st birthday, we're going to remember where we were for the rest of our lives here in Southeast Wisconsin. So for this final hour, would love to hear from you as well. 855-616-1620. Again, 855-616-1620. That's the Siding Unlimited WTMJ talk and text line. This text came in earlier from the 414. I was just putzing around on my phone this morning, and my husband said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," to me from the basement. I was thinking, oh, geez, what got wrecked in the wash? He came upstairs and told me about Bob. Oh, how I wish he had wrecked something in the wash. Many tears today. I listened every time he called the game rather than watching and hoped selfishly for extra innings. Baseball will never be the same. Well said from the 414. Thank you for sharing that text. If you have other thoughts as well, again, 855-616-1620. And this was revealed to me earlier today by Kurt Hogue of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel as he shared. And I was openly thinking about it on my way over here. Then I got pulled around and had to do a bunch of other stuff. Like, what was the last home run that Bob Uecker called? And, well, the answer connects generations.
Set to work. Runners lead. First, second, and third the pitch. Hit to left and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Gone! Jackson Churio just hit one with the bases loaded. And they add 4 more on the rookie's grand slam home run. His 18th of the year. Wow.
That's the last home run, Brewers home run, that Uke called in his career. And we'll see what becomes of Jackson Chourio. Adam McCalvey has talked about that connection as well, that you have 90-year-old Bob Uecker, 20-year-old Jackson Chourio on a division-winning team. What a beautiful, beautiful story. Going to take a breather. On the other side of this break, we're also going to hear from Tom Hamilton. And if you don't know who Tom Hamilton is, he's the voice of the Cleveland Guardians, and he's this year's recipient of the Forward C. Frick Award, the same award that sends broadcasters to the Hall of Fame. And if you didn't know, Tom is a Wisconsin native. So we'll hear from Hammy in just a bit. We'll hear from you, 855-616-1620. Take our first break of the second hour of Brewers Weekly after this on WTMJ.
Back with more Brewers Weekly after this. The legendary voice of the Brewers, Bob Uecker, has passed away. We remember the life, the legacy, and of course the calls.
Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Go!
Rest in peace to one of the greatest to ever do it. We'll miss you, Bob.
By now you've probably figured out what's most important to us at Semper Fi is our reputation. Building a great character-driven remodeling company is actually quite easy. It's just the first 20 years that are a bit challenging. Great companies are collections of great people, and we have great people. They're the ones that helped us build our reputation, but they only come after you've built something they want to be part of. We don't necessarily have to look for good people. They come to us. And that's what you want when you hire an exterior remodeling company. Someone who's going to stand behind their work, and a company that is truly proud of their people. And it's because they do great work. And when you're ready, we'll do great work for you too. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
We know what you're thinking, and all we can tell you is to drive careful.
Yep, Wisconsin roads are no joke this time of year, especially when you're driving on old, worn-out tires.
Schedule yourself a tire appointment with Rich Lawns. We carry all sorts of tire brands, including Goodyear, Kelly, Continental, and General, to name a few.
And every tire we install automatically comes with free tire mounting, free lifetime tire rotation, free flat tire repairs, and free alignment inspections.
Not to mention free wheel corrosion cleaning, lifetime warranty spin balance, and prorated tire protection.
Let's just say, if you're driving around town, especially this time of year on old, worn-out tires, you're due for tire service.
Courtney's right. And remember, be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you have good tread on your tires, because cold, wet, icy roads are no joke. I'm Brett Matchke with Rich Lawns, and you're due for service.
Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 2553668.
Elizabeth and John bought their starter home 8 years ago, BC, as in before children. Now, with 2 elementary school-age kids, they wanted to make a move to the suburbs for a bigger home with more yard. But they didn't know if or how they could buy their next home without selling their current one. Fortunately, a friend who was a multi-time AccuNet client connected them with us, and we soon determined they could, in fact, afford to buy without selling first, which was a big relief to them and their real estate agent. Armed with an AccuNet rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval, it still took several weeks to find the right home for the next chapter in their life, but I'm happy to report that Elizabeth, John, and their boys opened their presents on Christmas morning in their new home after closing just a few days before. Whether you're buying your first home or your next home, go with the pros who have all the tools and know-how to make your home buying experience as smooth and successful as humanly possible. Get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button at AccuNet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun back in 2023, the first homestand of the year. Bob Uecker gone at age 90. Before we get to the interview with Tom Hamilton, let's get to the phone lines. Doug in Baraboo, welcome back on the program. You're live on Brewers Weekly.
Good evening, Dom. Like everybody else, it was just a real tough day for myself and my wife. I never got to meet Bob Uecker, but I always had a story that I thought he would enjoy, knowing his sense of humor. I did get it down in writing and tried to get it to him last summer, but I believe he never received it. What I'm talking about is back in 1961, I was in a league called the Stars of Tomorrow in South Milwaukee, and we were having a father-son event before the season started. And it was announced that there would be 3 Milwaukee Braves attending this event. And we were all excited, all the kids my age. And we were thinking, oh, my goodness, Eddie Matthews, Joe Adcock, Warren Spahn, Roy McMillan, Johnny Logan, Del Crandall, Burnett, Lou Burdett, and we were just so excited. So we come with our fathers, and we get to the old South Milwaukee gym, and they introduced the 3 players, and first Bob Hawk Taylor, then Phil Roof, and then this Bob Uecker. I'm sitting next to my dad. He looks at me. He said, kind of in a scolding way, "Who are these guys?" And I have no idea. And so we got to. I know Bob's sense of humor. I think he would have got a kick out of the story, not knowing that Bob would become, Mr. Baseball, Mr. Milwaukee, Mr. Wisconsin, and as famous as he has become. And then with Phil Roof, of course, he actually played with the Braves for a while and other teams, and then managed the Minnesota Twins. And then Bob Hawk Taylor played with the Braves for a while and some other teams. But he actually came back to Rawson Field and gave us some fielding instructions. So we actually got to meet him. But again, knowing Bob's humor, if I could have told him that story, I think he would have got a kick out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he didn't even make the team in '61. He came back, of course, and he went back to spring training or the minors or whatever, and then he made the team in 62, of course. But it was it's one of those things, you had to be there. But I think Bob would have appreciated that.
He would have bent over laughing, to say the least. Thank you for sharing that, Doug. Appreciate your listenership throughout the last few years here. I want to get to one more caller, then I'm actually going to take a break before we get to Tom Hamilton too. Tony, I see you on the line. I'm going to get to you after the break, but right now I want to get to Matt. You're calling from behind enemy lines, if you will. Can you go ahead and explain?
Yes, I am. I'm a born and raised Cubs fan, believe it or not. And you're going to hate to hear that, but I respect Bob Uecker more than pretty much anyone in the game. He has trained Pat Hughes. He's worked with Bob Costas. I have heard his calls from West Dallas, Wisconsin for the last 15 years. And I've heard, get up, get up, get up, get out of here, gone. I mean, he's the originator, and I love it. We will miss him forever. The most honorable thing he ever did was to hide his illness.
It's a hard thing to do.
People close to him knew that.
Thing.
Oh, yeah. People close to him knew that.
Mm-hmm.
But it came down to the final days before it came public. So I think that is the most honorable thing and legendary thing he has ever done.
It's very, very difficult to do. It's well put. Thank you for giving a little bit of perspective from the Cubs fan point of view, Matt. Appreciate it, and thanks for being a baseball fan and enjoying Bob Uecker with the rest of us. Tony, I see you on the line. I got to take a break. I really want to play this interview with Tom Hamilton as well, so we're squeezing it all in here. We got about 40 minutes left here on the program. Back with more after this on WTMJ.
More Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ.
This change has leveled us up while being able to maintain the same quality of service that we've always provided, with no upfront fees and 1.9% real estate commission. We're proud to be part of the Century 21 family, so you can move fearlessly with the added confidence of top-of-the-line marketing for maximum home exposure. And that means more eyeballs and the real potential for the highest price for your home. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated. First off, our 1.9% commission structure helps get their foot in the door, and that's why agents like working here. But what they really like is having the strongest marketing tools available, with the resources to help them sell homes at the highest prices to satisfy their clients. Century 21 Benefit Realty offers what agents like most, and that's to help them be successful. If you really want to believe in the business model that you're representing, give me a call. I'm Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty. Call me, and let's talk about your future. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Our favorite reason to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler? Free service for life with no fine print. That's right. When you buy your engagement ring or any piece of jewelry at Diamonds Direct, you will never have to pay a dime in the future for sizing, cleaning, or routine maintenance. At Diamonds Direct, there's no gotcha clause, no fine print, no looking for ways to void the warranty. Diamonds Direct, the jeweler you can trust with a no questions asked 100% free lifetime warranty with no strings attached. Come see us to learn more.
Reason number 52 to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler. Only Diamonds Direct gives you a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee. Diamonds Direct will give you 110% of your original purchase price toward the new stone. That's 10% more than you paid the first time. Guaranteed appreciation. Who else does this? There's no fine print and no minimum purchase requirement. It's 10% more, period. Buy with confidence. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
If you like being prepared like I do, you know the value of a generator. When the power goes out, it's a terrible inconvenience. And that's why Quality installs effortless whole home generators that give you power when everybody else's is out. This is Anthony Zanevsky from Quality, where you'll get the signature service you deserve and whole home generators that make power outage fears subside.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. When your pipes burst, water heater's leaking, drains backing up, or whatever your plumbing problem is, the reliable plumbers at Quality are on hand 24/7 to fix your plumbing problem with fully stocked vehicles and lightning fast response times. This is Anthony Zanevsky. Call Quality first and get the signature service you deserve to fix your plumbing problem ASAP.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric.
It's Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Gantner, there he goes. The pitch, a swing and a fly ball, right field and deep. Get up, and get out of here. Gone for Swaim, and they've done it again. 12 in a row on a two-run blast by Swaim to win it. Oh, my goodness. Holy cow, do you believe it?
Yeah, I know we played that earlier, but we played it again because, I mean, come on. Team Streak, Easter Sunday, great times. I'm Dom Cotroneo. We're going to get to our interview with Tom Hamilton in a moment, but the reason we played that is because our caller, Tony, waiting patiently on the line in Colorado, I think you know a little thing or two about that day, right?
Yes, I do.
What do you remember about Easter Sunday, 1987?
We were at the game, my dad and I. I was 18 years old, about to embark on college and traveling around with the Grateful Dead and a whole bunch of other stuff that my dad might not have approved of. But we're at that game, and great game, and the Brewers fell down, and Dad's like, let's go. Let's beat the traffic. We got to get to your Uncle Wally's for Easter dinner. Come on. They could still come back. No. Come on. Let's get going. And, man, I was angry. I was so angry leaving that game. And we get in the car, and we're driving down 94, and I got to hear what you guys just got to hear. The best call, one of the best calls. I mean, one of the most famous calls. Best call is 1982. But the fact that I got to hear that with my dad, who's now passed, and share that moment driving down I-94, listening to Euchre make that call. And like I said, my dad's not with us anymore, so I'm hoping Emil and Bob are up in some heavenly tavern sharing a cocktail right now and sharing a lot of great County Stadium memories, Brewer memories over the years. And just also wanted to say what a shame it is that Bob never got to see the Brewers win a World Series. And I'm tearing up here. But
you and me both,
I hope
Tony.
the team dedicates this year to him, and we go all the way.
I love it.
Do it this year.
I love it. That would be great. It would be on perfect Midwest time. Just a little late. No big deal. Just 1 year late. And he'll have the best seat in the house, down in the front row from above. That's what I think so. Tony, thanks so much for sharing that story and being with us here tonight on WTMJ. So now I want to pass things over. I recorded this earlier in the evening here with Tom Hamilton. Again, I'm grateful for the time that I've spent with Tom over the last couple of seasons. And again, he's a Hall of Famer, and he will be in the Ford C. Frick wing of the Hall of Fame, and he makes a little jab about that as the voice of the Cleveland Guardians. Tom Hamilton joins us in a two-part interview right here on WTMJ. Pleased to be joined, as mentioned, by Tom Hamilton. And Tom, I know it hasn't quite sunk in yet with the news today, but I can call it now for you before the induction in July. I mean, a fellow Hall of Famer in Bob Uecker has passed, and I know you, as one of Wisconsin's proudest sons, grew up listening to him and knew him well, and your emotions just at the outset of today.
Well, thank you, Don, but I'm sure not at Bob's level. Never was, never will be. And to your point, it's a really sad day. And yet part of you can't help but smile, because did anybody in the history of mankind get more out of 90 years than Bob? I mean, did anyone ever enjoy life or make other people's lives more enjoyable than Bob Uecker? And I think any of us that grew up in Wisconsin, as I did, know how lucky we were to have listened to him all of those years when the Pilots became the Brewers in 1970. And, eventually you're listening to another incredible broadcaster who's no longer with us, Merle Harmon, who was so phenomenal back in the early days with the Brewers, and then was joined by Bob. And, as a young person growing up in Wisconsin, I am dating myself, but I go back as a little kid listening on a dairy farm on our porch at night to the late, great Earl Gillespie and the exploits of Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews and Warren Spahn and Lou Burdett and Joe Torre on those teams, that I remember just not vividly, but sketchy here and there. It's just a little boy in Wisconsin. And then, that state has been so blessed when you think of Earl Gillespie and then Merle Harmon, then Bob Uecker, and all of the great broadcasters that have come through Milwaukee and are in the major leagues and are still in Milwaukee. I mean, that state has been very blessed. But Bob Uecker is just, irreplaceable. When you say one of a kind, there truly will never be another Bob Uecker. And, I've said it to other people. I don't think there is a more beloved figure in the history of the state of Wisconsin in any walk of life than Bob Uecker.
I agree with that statement. We've been talking about it all day here at our family of networks, and it's just the pop culture aspect of it too. I mean, there are people that maybe watch Mr. Belvedere or watch Major League and had never turned into a Brewer game in their life, and they were introduced to Bob Uecker, or Saturday Night Live, or the legendary stories from Norm Macdonald and the roasts and the comedy tours that Uecker would do from behind the scenes and the stuff like that. For you, going back to Waterloo in your younger days here in Wisconsin, do you pick a moment, a game, a spot? We've heard stories of guys that remember the first time they heard a ball game or whatever. Do you remember your introduction to Bob Uecker?
Just as, we were devastated when the Braves left. There was no reason for the Braves to ever leave Milwaukee, except greed and money by the ownership of the Braves that took them to Atlanta. And so that was a huge void when they left after the 1965 season. And I think all of us from Wisconsin take great pride. For those of us, I wish I wasn't a guy who could remember the 60s, because then that would mean I'm a lot younger than I am. But, the 60s, what a heyday, because you had those incredible players with the Braves, the renaissance of Green Bay Packer football with Vince Lombardi winning 5 NFL titles in 7 years. And then when the Braves left, that was a massive void. Milwaukee was the first franchise ever to draw 2 million fans. Not Boston, not the Yankees, not the Cubs, the Milwaukee Braves. And, thank the good Lord for Bud Selig, because there's another person that never gets enough credit for what he has meant to the game of baseball in the state of Wisconsin. Without Bud Selig, who knows when or if Milwaukee ever gets another crack at Major League Baseball. And so for them to come back, you couldn't wait to hear the exploits of Bobby Coluccio and Lou Krause and Gene Roof and guys that, maybe weren't superstars, but we had baseball back in the state of Wisconsin. And then, as anybody knows, I mean, part of my biggest issue when I got into broadcasting, Dom, was not to imitate Bob's call. Get up, get out of here. I mean, it was such an iconic call that, you hear about kids wanting to be the next Vin Scully and imitating him growing up in L.A. Well, that's how broadcasters were listening, to somebody like Bob Uecker, and you had to make sure that you didn't start copying him, because that wasn't fair to him, and obviously people would know you were a fraud right away. I just remember, I'm sorry.
I hear you, buddy. I'm with you too.
How kind he was to me when I was lucky enough to get the Cleveland Indians job with Herb Score in 1990. And, I'm not at their level, never was, never will be, but the way people like Herb, the way people like Bob treated me, boy, you don't forget those acts of kindness. And on a more humorous note, when we're all intimidated, Bob, initially, till you meet him, then you realize, oh my gosh, he's even nicer and he's even funnier in person than he was on TV. And so I asked him once, probably my second or third year with the Indians, back in those days, Tom, the Brewers and Indians were in the same division.
Mm-hmm.
So, I had those great trips back to Milwaukee to see family and friends. And, my parents were still with us. So the way he was, when I asked him if I could introduce my mom and dad to him, and he was like, oh my gosh, by all means, bring them up. And I come from a family of loud Irish people. And it might be the only time my dad was speechless. Wow. And how kind he was to my mom and dad. And honestly, I think I don't know if they could have ever been more speechless unless I'd taken them to the Vatican and they met the Pope. Maybe the Pope and Bob Uecker. And that's what I remember.
Beautiful story from Hammy. We'll have more from Hammy on the other side of this break. Can't thank him enough for his real emotion and his authenticity with us here on WTMJ. We'll take a breather. Back with more until the top of the hour, remembering Bob Uecker on WTMJ.
Catch more Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ.
With the ability to market luxury homes on a higher scale than ever before, Century 21 Benefit Realty has taken a huge step forward to tap into a global network of buyers. Maximum exposure to spotlight your unique home with our fine homes and estates marketing so you can sell it for the highest price. And with no upfront fees and 1.9% real estate commission, you win. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated. First off, our 1.9% commission structure helps get their foot in the door, and that's why agents like working here. But what they really like is having the strongest marketing tools available, with the resources to help them sell homes at the highest prices to satisfy their clients. Century 21 Benefit Realty offers what agents like most, and that's to help them be successful. If you really want to believe in the business model that you're representing, give me a call. I'm Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty. Call me, and let's talk about your future. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Hey, John Mercure here for Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living. Their mission is to transform the culture of care. They specialize in caring for those with early to late stage Alzheimer's or other related dementia symptoms, memory care issues. It's Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living. I've been in their places. I love how they deal with people. It's about compassion and empathy at Azura. Kindness is at their core. 14 locations from the Mississippi to Lake Michigan, 4 here in the Milwaukee area. Wisconsin-based and family-owned. It's about kindness and care. It's Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
This is Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Here's the windup and the pitch to Molly. A swing and a base hit to right. 39 straight for Molitor on the first offering from Kenny Schramm.
The hit streak for Paul Molitor still stands the longest in team history. Some more of the memories from Bob Uecker's calls here on WTMJ. Let's get into the second half of our interview with Tom Hamilton, and we'll take some more input from the fans here as we're getting ready to wind down the program on WTMJ. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Hammy. And, you know, when I think of, you got me too here, but when I think of the stories that we've been hearing all day today, and a story like that comes out so true, and I'll share this with you as well. I've said it today where, you know, I certainly was intimidated the first time I met Bob in 2021. And
join the club.
Yeah, and certainly then becoming a teammate of his a year later here on WTMJ. And, you know, somebody had always reminded me, hey, Bob listens, by the way. You know, WTMJ is on very frequently for him in his car. So be careful what you're saying on the air. And I'll never forget it because one day in, you know, I want to say late in 2022, my first year doing the post-game shows, and I'm in the clubhouse just waiting to talk to somebody or whatever. Bob walks in behind me, you know, pats me on the rear end and says, hey, nice show last night, bud, and walks away. And I looked around, like no one was around me, and it's just like that was genuine. Bob wasn't doing that because there were people around. Bob wasn't doing that because he wanted people to notice him saying hello to the new kid. Like, he listened, and he shared time out of his day, and I think you said it, when you break down that wall of the intimidation, like, oh my God, it's Bob Uecker, I got to get this right, to he loved baseball. He loved Milwaukee. And for me, that's what I'm going to remember most about him. And I know you feel the same way, is that he wanted to talk ball. I mean, sure, he could tell stories about all the other cool stuff he did, but at the end of the day, he was one of the most baseball guys out there that we ever had.
Yeah, I don't think Dami gets enough credit for what an incredible broadcaster he was, and an incredible play-by-play guy. You know, I've been so blessed to be in this game, and then you meet people like Bob, and then I worked with another fellow Milwaukee Brewer, Mike Hegan, who, you know, when he was playing for the Brewers, you know, was working in the off season at WTMJ to learn the craft of radio and television, and became an incredible broadcaster, play-by-play, color in Milwaukee as well as in Cleveland, and was, you know, a partner of mine for a number of years. And then, you know, I think of Tony Kubek, who I spoke with about a week ago. You know, Bob and Tony Kubek were high school stars growing up in the city of Milwaukee, and went on to be major league players, and then both be incredible broadcasters, both in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And, you know, for some of us growing up in Wisconsin, there's always been a great pride in fellow Wisconsinites. And, you know, and Tony Kubek still lives in the state in Appleton, and Bob still kept his home as Milwaukee. And I think for us Wisconsinites, there was great pride in somebody coming from Wisconsin who still wanted to call Wisconsin home. And for Bob, nothing was ever better than Milwaukee. And at the end of the day, the movies, the commercials, the Tonight Show, at the end of the day, he was a baseball play-by-play broadcaster at heart. He was the happiest he could be when he was at the ballpark. And, you know, what a great tribute that is to the Brewers organization, to the city of Milwaukee, and to the fan base.
It's been an amazing ride with Bob Uecker, again, chatting with Tom Hamilton, current voice of the Cleveland Guardians, and heading into the Hall of Fame to join Bob Uecker this year. I know that sentence hasn't sunk in for you yet, my friend, but oof. I mean, two Wisconsinites in the Hall of Fame in the Ford C. Frick Award Hall, man, that's going to really hit you in July.
Well, you know, Bob and Tony are in the wing. I'm in a little closet. I'll be a couple of hallways down from them, but you're just happy to get a foot in that building. And, you know, it's still very surreal to us. I mean, you're very humbled by it. You're very grateful. And, but, you know, this is about Bob today. And again, you're so thankful for people like that gave you advice along the way, that were kind enough to treat you as an equal when you were never at their level. And, you know, that's what all of us need to keep in mind as we go forward. You know, I'll tell you what, the good Lord is still bent over laughing ever since Bob got there, because there's nobody that Bob was intimidated by, and nobody that Bob always made you feel like you were his friend. That's a unique gift, that as big a star as he was, Bob never felt like he was bigger or better than you, and that's incredible.
That's the line that I'm going to use, that the good Lord is laughing thanks to Bob's arrival, and I think that's the way to do it. I think that's a great way to put it, Tom. I can't thank you enough for spending some time and allowing your emotions to flow with us, as obviously it's a heavy day here in Southeast Wisconsin, and you yourself a Waterloo and everything that you grew up with here in Wisconsin. You get it, and I really appreciate you taking the time to join us here, and I really, really appreciate you joining us here. Well, I was honored that you would ask, and Milwaukee's lucky to have you too as well. Trust me. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Well, be well. I can't wait to see you in spring training, and I hope you have a warm rest of your winter over there to our friends in Ohio, and we'll get you see you here, I guess, in 2 years back at American Family Field, since you came our way last year, so we'll have to make a road trip down to Progressive Field later this summer. Sounds good? Looking forward to it, Dom. And then we'll be able to all rehash all the Bob stories that had us keeling over, that none of us can ever use on the air, simply because we all want to keep our jobs. Amen to that. I said that earlier today. And in fact, Adam McCalvey, writer of the Brewers, had a great suggestion that Kent Sommerfeld, longtime engineer, should send Bob Uecker's cough button to Cooperstown. And I'm all for that.
That's the line of the day.
That'd be great. Hammy, I can't thank you enough, my friend.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate you having me.
That was fun. What a man. Got a chance to hang out with him a lot during this past postseason run on the American League side of things, and just awesome guy. I'm so happy a Hall of Fame person is going into the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster. My thanks to Tom Hamilton. Let's get to the phone lines here real quick. 855-616-1620 is the Siding Unlimited WTMJ talk and text line. If you want to get your last-second texts and calls in, now it's the time to do it. We're on for another 15 minutes. Let's get to Bob in Oak Creek. Bob, you've been waiting patiently. You're live on Brewers Weekly.
Yeah, this is Bob Knoll, Oak Creek. Can you hear me?
I got you, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm going to miss Bob because he was like, when I would hear him working, he wasn't working. He was just enjoying and then what he was doing. And it always reminded me that winter's over and it's spring, and the boys are summer are back. And apparently he didn't travel the last few years on the road as much or at all, and then they're doing a great job of working side by side with them and sharing the calls. And I just I'm glad someone mentioned Bud Selig and all the people that worked with him closely. So sad day.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Bob. Thanks for sharing those words and being a part of this large nationwide fandom of Bob Uecker, as we all remember him on a day like today. Another text here from the 414. Bob Uecker was truly the epitome of what is Milwaukee and what is Wisconsin. To use the call he made famous in baseball, he would always get up. He will never really get out of here. He will never, ever be gone. He will remain in all Wisconsinites' hearts and in many more across the country forever. We will all truly miss him. It's very well said. We're going to take our last break of the program and come back to, say goodbye for these 2 hours and think about what's next for the Brewers. And thank you for listening to this far into the show. Back with more after this on WTMJ.
Back with more Brewers Weekly after this. The legendary voice of the Brewers, Bob Uecker, has passed away. We remember the life, the legacy, and of course the calls.
Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Go!
Rest in peace to one of the greatest to ever do it. We'll miss you, Bob.
I don't have to tell you that a lot of dust and other junk collects in your ductwork. And it doesn't just sit there. It's blowing around in your home. And that jeopardizes your home health. The commercial industrial duct cleaning system we use at Quality darn near sucked the shirt right off our tech the first time he used it. Believe me, not everybody has this powerful of a system. It's unlike any other. At Quality, you get the best duct cleaning, period. So call Quality first for your duct cleaning needs.
For the signature service you deserve.
Whether it's 24/7 emergency service or it's just time to replace your furnace, at Quality we'll be out so fast you won't even notice the heat being off. And if you're buying a high-efficiency furnace from Armstrong or Carrier, you'll qualify for state and federal tax rebates that'll pay for a big chunk of the cost. This is Anthony Zanevsky from Quality, where you'll get the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric.
Many times, patients have symptoms they didn't know were actually related to their airway breathing issues.
I was suffering from sinus issues, jaw issues, and neck pain. I guess I just kind of had my breaking point.
Unfortunately, this is typical. But until you get to the root of your problem, it's going to just persist. Fortunately, Jody took action, and the results were typical as well.
My quality of life is so different. But one of the first things that I noticed was my breathing. I don't ever remember being able to breathe like that.
Being able to breathe freely is life-changing, and the effects can go beyond that.
Sleeping better, having more energy, and it seemed as if all of those symptoms that I had just melted away.
And thank heavens for that, because at Advent, results are what drive us, helping you breathe well so you can live better.
Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Adamas aboard at first. This one in the air. Left and hit one with the bases loaded. Whoa!
Oh, fun times having Rhys Hoskins have home runs called by Bob Uecker as well. 855-616-1620, 855-616-1620. That's the Siding Unlimited WTMJ talking text line. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. Let's get to the phone lines. Paul in Mount Calvary, thanks for calling and welcome onto the program. What do you have to say?
Thanks. Good evening. Yeah, I was just calling. I can remember, growing up, Bob Uecker was probably one of the first, television or radio voices that I remember, riding with my parents in the car, listening to the Brewers broadcasts. And the point that I wanted to bring up was I was in the Army, and 2006, 2007, I was deployed to Iraq. And while I was deployed over there, I would a lot of times go to the MWR computer center, and late at night, whatever time it was when the baseball game was live, and I would listen to the streaming broadcasts and listen to Bob Uecker's voice. And, just that little bit of hearing his voice would kind of take me away from everything I was doing over there and pretty much bring me back home for just a little bit of time.
That's great, man. Thank you for your service, Paul, as well. And I think there were plenty of Wisconsinites deployed around the world that were probably trying to sneak a few minutes away, right? Trying to find that one computer that had sat comms and was able to grab in and no one would catch him, right?
Oh yeah, it was a challenge sometimes to be able to get in there and get enough computer time where you could actually, sit and listen to a couple innings of a baseball game and, hope that nobody else was waiting in line for the computer because you don't want to, steal anybody else's computer time. But late at night, it usually wasn't a big deal. But yeah, it was great to just, hear Bob Uecker's voice and, just imagine that you were back home in Wisconsin and enjoying the game with everybody else.
Well, that's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that story, Paul. We're all thankful and that we all had to share a few moments with Bob, however short, wherever in the world they may have been, and that was a wonderful story there. Appreciate the call. This text from the 715. Dom, today hits hard for this Northwoods boy. This has some sting on it. His last words on air on October 4th. This was like a groundhog. When he popped out of the den in February, no one knew pitchers and catchers were soon to report. Then the new season was on the horizon. Memories resonate back to high school baseball practice in Merrill at the Fairgrounds field in 1976 with it cold and snow piles still on the field, leather-bound battery-generated AM radio blaring full board with him on the afternoon Brewers broadcast. We all stopped when he did that iconic get up, get out of here, gone. My mother passed in August at the age of 96 and a half. God bless. Her and my father were huge lifetime Milwaukee fans, Milwaukee Braves, and now the Brewers. From a large floor tube radio to portable AM radios and now DirecTV and Bally on an app and streaming on iHeart, she experienced the Braves championship in 57 and the heartbreak for Atlanta. No team to root for 4 years. She has lived through the crap teams of the 70s and 80s, stayed engaged, yearly listening and watching daily. That's a beautiful text, and I'm running out of time here because I do got to take one more break. But if you got any more last-second text, that one, thank you so much for that text. Appreciate that from 715-855-616-1620. As we'll say goodbye after this on WTMJ.
More Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ.
So how do you underpromise and still get the job? We believe in our hearts we're going to do great work for you. We're just really careful about making unrealistic promises. At Semper Fi, we refuse to set the bar higher than we can jump. But be assured, that's the goal, to do all we can to jump as high as possible to try to exceed your expectations. We're looking to break records. That's how you win over customers, get really great referrals, and build a great business. When you're making a decision to hire an exterior remodeling company, character, integrity, and the feeling that the people you're about to hire are truly eager to show you how good they are should stand at the top of your list. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here, asking you to join me in October as my wife and I explore the magical kingdoms of Southeast Asia, from the villages of Vietnam and the temples of Cambodia to the friendly locals of Laos and the beachside resort in stunning, lively Thailand. I hope you'll join us for this unforgettable journey. Ancient and mysterious worlds of rural landscapes, bustling cities, and fascinating history in Vietnam. Explore the Chu Chi tunnels used by the Viet Cong. Experience a street food adventure through Hanoi and cherish the serenity of Hai Long Bay on a beautiful boat ride. Bangkok in Thailand, the beaches in Thailand, history, tradition, food. If you'd like more information on this great trip, send me an email. john.mercure@wtmj.com. john.mercure@wtmj.com. It's Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. I'm super jazzed about this trip. Send me an email. I send you the info. john.mercure, MERCURE, @wtmj.com.
It's Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
This one hit in the air to left and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here and gone for Cotroneo. And the Brewers have cut it in half on his second big league home run.
It's funny because that was his second. Bob also called Cheerios first. And, man, again, we said it earlier in the show, but the generations that Bob Uecker spanned in baseball, and that, you know, the last chapter of this brilliant novel of calling games for a lifetime ends with the beginning of Jackson Churio's novel, and what that book is going to read like one day is going to be a beautiful thing. But as we get ready to say goodbye here, a couple more texts that have rolled in. Sounds silly coming from me being only 27, but it'll be hard listening without Bob. He's been around my whole life to the point where I was listening to the later road games. I'd pretend he's in the booth and the mic is unplugged. Hard fact of life and growing up. I remember watching Packer games on mute and listening to Bob on the radio with my dad. That's my kind of guy. That's a good text there. Thanks that from the 262 as well. And this one here from the 414. It's bad about Bob. He will be missed, but life goes on. Everyone's time will come. And that's something to remember about Bob. He was very at peace with everything that was going wrong with his body. He was still putting on a smile for everybody around us. And it was said by Mark Atanasio earlier today, and I'll remind listeners here of this, and that it was said for a while that Bob actually told Mark's father, Joe, you know, laughter can add 15 minutes to your lifetime. And boy, did Bob give us plenty more hours and days in our lifetimes. And it's no surprise that he lived to 90, facing everything that he faced to continue putting a smile on our faces. So as we say goodnight and we say goodbye, I say, give somebody else a smile. Give somebody else a laugh. That's the best currency in the world and the best way to honor Bob. If you want to receive a laugh, give a laugh. If you want to lighten a situation, be self-deprecating like Bob was. But always have passion and authenticity in what you do, and you can be great just like he was. We'll miss you, Bob. Thank you for everything. Thank you to our producer, Matt Yazel. Thank you to everybody here at WTMJ. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. Keep on swinging.
There are a lot of benefits to having Less's Glass install your new all-glass shower enclosure. The first of them is that when you have Less's Glass on your job, you can be assured that our nearly 40 years of experience is going to leave you satisfied. There are a few companies out there,